Hello and welcome to another podcast. We have today with us face-to-face Mr. Nishant and Mr. Shreyas from Illuminify Tech. Mr. Nishant, how do you see this opportunity? I mean, have you been a part of a podcast before? Is this something?
Not really. Like this is my first time, experience participating in a podcast.
And Mr. Shreyas, have you ever been into a podcast or something before this?
I have, but not something like this. I think this is a new experience for me.
Okay, so your company Illuminify Technology. Can you tell us what it's about? What it's doing to help the average man?
Okay. Yeah, sure. Actually, Illuminify Technology is an assistive tech startup. So essentially, what we work on is basically we create systems and new products for people who really need it. Right now we're working on a system which is text to braille conversion system for visually impaired people. So we try to really niche our market for people who are really in need of these products and try to uplift them in the society at this point.
I'd like to ask that the current plight of today's students is sitting for placements and all. So is it the same tragedy with you, or you will do what you're doing right now?
I think Nishant won't be answering this question. He's in third year.
Oh.
So basically, very true. A lot of students come to VIT because there's a name of like you can get placements. It's a very, very good college where you can actually get opportunities and all those things. But when you go to a startup, the first question that you feel like, is it worth it? Yeah, because you're getting a huge package in some company and there you are with a startup. I would strongly say that a startup will give you so much more than a company could actually give you, because here you get an experience to work on things yourself. You're the core team. You're the people who are actually going to make a difference. You're not a part of a whole 100 people team in a big company who's never going to know you. If your startup takes a huge leap, you're the face of that startup. And I think students should look into this opportunity a lot these days, because startups is the way to grow in any field they want to.
So piling on to what you already asked, the plight of students.
Mhm.
So placement aside, the number one plight of students is cat and fat. So being in a company, this question is to you both. So being in this startup, being so heavily involved, how did you cope?
So I honestly don't think it will take more than 3 hours to study for a CAT exam, and you have that 3 hours right before the exam during this exam schedule. And yeah, you basically attend your classes properly and pay attention to them so that it becomes easier to brush up the concepts later. So basically you make your studying part easier, so then you have to sit for 6 or 10 hours and hog all the information right before the exam. So, and yeah, basically whenever you have free time in between, you actually have it in the back of your mind thinking about it, so that you get inspiration wherever at any moment you see basically you see a movie or something and you get an inspiration, you see something there and then you think, oh my god, this can be implemented in a product. So that's how it goes. So
Adding on to that, I would say that the startup that we work in is very understandable. So they know when cats are there, they know when fats are there. They give us ample amount of time for us to prepare for it, and so that we can not really, do bad in the cats or fats.
So what do you think? What kind of support VIT played in your startup?
I actually a huge support is there. We are in fact an incubated startup in VIT TBI, and through their medium we've been working there in their office for a long period of time now. And I think because of the support that they've given us, we're able to reach a place right now where we're very close to launching our first soft product. And I don't think it would have been in any way possible if VIT TBI and VIT in itself would have not given us this opportunity. And I think this indirectly VIT has helped a lot of visually impaired people to indirectly by supporting us. So I think that's a huge help.
So I'll come to this point of, did you face any pushback from your parents? Because Indian parents, they have this mentality ki you have to do what you're supposed to do. Don't deviate from the path, just follow the path. So
was there any initial pushback? How are they reacting to it now? Now that they've seen the company's potential, now that they've seen the company's growth.
What do you have to say about that, Nishant?
Like, to be frank, for my parents, it's just another project team that I'm working on. They have no clue what's happening. So,
Okay.
For me, it's a bit tough because I'm in my 4th year and I'm not sitting for placements. I'm constantly focusing on this project right now and this startup. But the thing is, if you this is actually a good advice to anybody who wants to do this later also. If you actually sit down with your parents and tell them what you're doing, because my father was very skeptic of this. He's very skeptic of startups in general because like they don't take off, they don't pay you that much, you want to have a stable life and all those things. So I sat down with him and explained it to him that, sir, okay, this is the project that we're working on, this is how it's going to help people, and this is my contribution to it. And then suddenly he was very proud of me. Okay, so if you really sit down and tell your parents about what you actually do in a startup, I think that makes a huge difference, and ultimately they want the good for you, and working in a startup is very good for you.
Coming to your market space, since you are catering basically students, your major umbrella span is students who are visually impaired. So, do you feel that after a point, once this starts making a difference, you want to pursue this as a technology ahead or as a product ahead?
Okay, that's a very interesting question actually. So what I said earlier was that we took inspiration from students. Our actual business model is basically a business to business model where we reach our end customers, we actually contact NGOs, government organizations, and through them. So we do business with them. We don't directly go up to visually impaired people and give them the device because it is actually quite impossible. So we take their help and we are kind of going into a very collaborative method of business models that we are going to achieve right now. So coming up to the next part of the question, we think at this point with the product that we have right now, we are not too ambitious with it. We want to be very realistic because there's a lot at stake, not just ours, but the people who are expecting some things with us. Right, we've already talked to a lot of NGOs and a lot of government organizations and stuff, and they expect some things out of it. So if we, leave all that and start thinking about like making technology and stuff like that, we would be being unfair to what we promised. So right now we have short-term goals and long-term goals. We're concentrating on our short-term goals right now, and we'll try to achieve that first.
So when you start a company or it's a startup, there are a lot of risk factors involved with it. Even you would have faced a lot of XYZ risks. So how did you cope up with all of that?
Actually, to be very honest, I'm in research and development in the company. I am not the founder. But yes, I can speak for the founders, Pranav, Tuhin, and there's one more, sir. So these people are VIT students only. Okay, they started up and they made this whole thing. And I've talked to them personally, and I feel like there are a lot of risk factors, but it's just about taking that leap. If you feel that this is something that should be done, this is something that can make a difference, and this is something that I am meant for, then the risk that comes with it, you have to, cope with it. And once you have that strong will, any risk is worth it.
The students who are fascinated by the idea of a startup majorly think for an idea that can lead to a success for themselves, but they don't consider the fact that even working for someone else's startup is a great opportunity to learn new things. So since there is a lot of taboo about this thing, how does a startup provide an incentive to person to come work with them instead of a big company?
Nishant? For incentives, I think majorly I can give you my example. Why I joined this team was basically because in a startup, when the startup grows and you're working with a startup from the beginning, you also grow, right? And if you've seen stories, movies of successful startups, the core team who were there from the beginning are the big names in these industries right now. So that promise itself is a huge incentive. Apart from that, there are so many things like getting hands-on experience on technologies. Like, for example, for me in this office, I have free access to the 3D printing technology, SLA printers that I have never used in my 3 years of college career, and now I'm getting to do it. So I think that is something that I get to learn from. And then there are experts that we can talk to. There are so many things in startup that are there. The marketing strategies, how do you actually convert an idea into a product, that knowledge itself, and all these things that come together in a package, I think is a huge incentive. So if you think about just money in a startup, money is not going to be, like, money will come later. It will definitely come later. If your startup is successful, it will come. And if it has to be successful, you gotta work for it, right?
Product. Presently, you're working on one product. After it is a success, which it will obviously be, are you going to diversify your target audience?
The thing is, the reason why we are calling ourselves an assisted technology startup is because this is a huge umbrella, right? And under that, there's a lot of things that we can work on. So there's a lot of projects and things in the pipeline in R&D. As I said before, I can't tell you because of proprietary information. But yes, we definitely want to branch out. But right now, we're going to concentrate on this and get this out there and make this a success first.
So you talked a lot about proprietary information, that information getting out. So has it ever happened before? And if it does happen, how do you plan
what do
to
you
deal
mean
with it?
by has it ever happened? What?
No,
what?
like, has someone ever like stolen your idea, taken inspiration, quote unquote, from your idea?
In the company itself?
No, outside.
Outside the company?
Yeah. IP theft, something like that.
Not that I'm aware of, because I have actually come up with a lot of ideas and I keep bouncing them around with my friends. I don't know if someone has actually picked it up and done something with it, because most of my ideas, I don't work with them forward. Like, you also know, you're also an engineer. You must have thought about, like you said, a unicorn, and you might have talked about it to someone else, and you might have made another unicorn. So things like that happen, and it's all okay unless you are actually going to work on that very closely, and it, you really feel strongly about that IP, that thing that you're making. It's fine usually, because it's a place where everybody talks, everybody bounces off ideas, and it's fine. People work together, people sometimes don't work together, things like that happen. It's actually natural.
So, had it not been for your funding from VIT or TBI in general, what other opportunities can someone seek when they want to expand their startup and they're looking for funding?
Okay, so this actually is a good question, and here I would like to actually tell you about our an accelerator program that we have joined. ATA is Summer Startup Accelerator program that we have joined, which is an assistive technology accelerator. Now, as you said, if not VIT, how do you go about those things? Now, this accelerator is specifically targeting startups who are interested in working in assistive tech, right? For us, there are other companies also, and that is a huge and amazing platform for startups, where there are so many experienced individuals and experts where you can talk to them and you can actually bounce off ideas, and they can help us out with them. So that is one. And there are some government schemes also, DST, if you know about Nidhi Prayas. That is one more funding that we have achieved because of our MVP that we showed them. So apart from VIT and VIT support, there are a lot of other people who will actually, if your idea is actually good, they will actually help you out.
Okay, so with that, we'd like to end today's episode. So thank you both for coming here, and we know that your company will be successful, and
I hope so too.
yeah. Thank you all for tuning in to the episode 3 of Face to Face, and we'll see you next time.